So the power to appoint benches cannot be exercised arbitrarily or whimsically. There must be a clear rationale that is obvious.
Yes. Yes.
In his recent petition, I believe it was presented to the court yesterday, former Law Minister Shanti Bhushan has listed.
I don't want to comment about
No,
it.
I'm not asking you to comment on that.
Pending case.
No, I'm not asking you to comment on that. But he's listed 10 instances of Chief Justices allocating cases to preferred benches. Are there really as many as that?
I have not seen the petition, except a news item in the morning. I have not seen the petition. Since it's a pending petition, I don't want to make any comment on that.
Let me ask you something else. And these are critical questions, Justice Chelameswar.
Yeah.
When a Chief Justice selectively assigns cases to benches of his preference without any rational basis for such assignment, and those were the exact words, I think, of your letter, aren't you claiming that the Chief Justice is actually allocating cases in a way that will predetermine the outcome to suit his preference? In other words, he's giving the case to benches which he believes will deliver the verdict he wants. Isn't that what you're really saying?
Is it a question or is it a statement you are making? Is it a question or is it a statement you are making?
I'm asking you for the real meaning of what you charged several Chief Justices with. Aren't you saying that they are actually setting up benches to get the judgment they want?
I'm not saying that. See, let's not talk about any one of the pending cases or decided cases. Just take a hypothetical situation. If a particular case is listed before you, you may reach a conclusion, a particular conclusion. The very same case listed before me, I may also reach the very same conclusion which you are likely to reach if it is assigned to you. Question is not that whether a particular judge would decide in favor of or against it. Even those perceptions exist. That's what I told you Mr. Nariman wrote. That was the perception with which they went that day. That's not the point. The question is, what is the basis on which some of these sensitive matters are allocated? And look here, none of us, I have spent about 20 years as a judge. I am not dying to hear one more case. I am not dying for any glory which I can get out of writing a great judgment. That's not the point. We are not asking to, but question is, are we following as a system, as an institution, are we able to sustain the faith of the general public in this country? Would this kind of an allocation be good for the institution? That's what was troubling us.
And you're saying that these selective preferential benches is undermining faith in the institution.
I believe so.
And as a result, it is also damaging for India's democracy.
Yes. See, it is repeatedly said by the Supreme Court in the context of administrative decisions, not only the Supreme Court, world over, wherever this jurisprudence is followed, that justice must not only be done, but must also appear to have been done. That's more important.
And when cases go to preferential benches, it doesn't appear to have been done necessarily. The process is as important as the end result. If the process,
of course it is.
If the process is vitiated, people raise questions about the result.
I don't even say vitiated. If the process is not transparent, it can lead to suspicions, and suspicions always are dangerous for institutions.
Can I ask you this? Have cases been allocated to preferred benches just once or twice, or are there several such instances? Is it a proliferating problem or is it a small problem?
There have always been instances.
There have always been instances of this. You mean it's been happening for quite a while?
Yes.
This may be an awkward question for you, but it's one that I have to ask you. When this sort of selective choosing of preferential benches happens, are the Chief Justices doing it for the benefit of the executive? Are they, in some sense, beholden to the government and furthering the government's interests? Is that why preferential benches are chosen?
I'm not answering this question.
Silence can be interpreted in any way. Can I put this to you? When preferential benches are chosen, would you say that justice is not being furthered, it's being impeded, that justice is being possibly distorted or denied, not delivered and expanded?
I think, Mr. Thapar, I think we have discussed this problem enough. I think let's leave it there. I have made a statement earlier. We have discussed it enough. I think there is no point in going on and on with this.
I have one last question and then I will happily leave it. But it is probably the most important question this evening. It is probably the most important question this evening. Do we have sufficient grounds for seeking the impeachment of the Chief Justice?
I read the other day, one of those magazines wrote an article that I should be impeached. I don't know why this nation is worried about this impeachment business, obsessed about it. In fact, we wrote in that judgment, me and Justice Ranjan Gogoi, in the judgment of Justice Karnan, apart from that, there must be mechanisms to put the system in order. Impeachment can't be the answer for every question, every problem. Looks as if everybody... Looks as if everybody is suddenly, certain phrases gain currency in a particular season. No, I think for the last 2 months, there is the current popular phrase, impeachment. But I just read a couple of days back, somebody said, I should be impeached. I said, fair enough. It's a free country. You remember that old saying, I will not agree with you, but I shall protect your right to say so.
Absolutely. That was Voltaire. So if I understand you correctly, what you're saying, Justice Chelameswar, is that impeachment is not always the solution. What we need to do is to correct the system.
The system, that's all.
But correcting the system means you need to stop Chief Justices, in the plural, not in the singular, allocating cases
set up
to
a proper
benches.
system. Set up a proper system whereby these problems and these doubts may not arise. If there is a proper system in place. See, for example, just yesterday the Supreme Court passed an order in the matter of the recruitment to various posts. Why don't you video record the whole thing? So what is it saying?
In a recent lecture, Justice A.P. Shah said that perhaps India needs to adopt the system that exists at the European Court of Justice, whereby allocation happens systematically. Do you think we need to set up some sort of system like that so that this fall in the image of the people doesn't happen?
Some system is required to be set up. But in what form it should come, it's a matter for deliberation by all the stakeholders. Let there be deliberation, let a system be devised.
One other question, and then I'm moving to another subject. You know, this whole problem of Chief Justices allocating cases to preferential benches doesn't just raise questions about the integrity of the Chief Justices, it also casts aspersions on the junior judges, because you're suggesting that the junior judges to whom these cases are allocated are somehow pliable and more willing to do the Chief Justice's bidding than others.
Not necessarily. I told you, not necessarily. I told you, maybe even the senior junior business, we never use this word senior junior in that letter. Subsequent intervention, somebody invented it. It's not the question of, see, at least I, for one, never believed. I had been a Chief Justice.
Are they pliable?
One second. I had been a Chief Justice of 2 high courts for 4.5 years almost. And I'll tell you, barring a formal full court meeting with an agenda, in an informal meeting, I never sat at the head of the table. I used to simply go and sit with any one of my colleagues and sit there.
But can I ask this, sir? But when cases are allocated to preferred benches, aren't those preferred judges chosen because they are pliable? Doesn't that follow?
No, not pliable. Maybe an assessment that a particular, say, for example, 70s, you remember, The government came forward with a theory that of a committed judiciary. It doesn't necessarily mean that individually there was something wrong with them, but they have a certain political orientation or a certain economic philosophy. Therefore, they are likely to decide cases in a particular way, which would be consistent with the prevailing political philosophy of the government of that
So
day.
these judges
No,
are
it's
not
not, did not
liable.
necessarily mean that when we talk about preferred this thing, it's not that individually those judges are good or bad. I don't want to comment about my colleagues in that manner. But then this creates a problem in the system. It creates doubts, questions about the integrity of the institution. That's what we meant.